over with. So I took more drugs. I said, well, if I take more drugs, then it'll numb me to where I wouldn't feel it. But they were so big, I still felt it even being high. The drugs that I consumed so many drugs that I began to have seizures because I pumped myself with so much poison to try to get through the life that I was living. I could never prostitute myself in a sober state. I could never dance in front of men in a sober state. I could never allow that size of a man lay with me in a sober state, so I had to be high. And even though I was doing drugs before, I was now doing even more drugs. I increased it even more, and as a result, medically, even to this day, but I rebuke that because I'm healed by his stripes, but even to this day, I still have seizures because of poor decisions with drug use. I took so much. A doctor, they had got me to the hospital one day because I just fell out. I was so high. What I did was, now it wasn't just the ecstasy and the cocaine. It was now crystal meth. It was now heroin. It was now crack. It was now ecstasy. It was cocaine. I didn't smoke weed, but I was drinking. I would wake up and on my dresser would be a bottle of Patron, and I would drink that for my breakfast. And I just was a walking narcotic. And I passed out in the middle of the street. Walking across the street, I passed out in the street, and I believe it was an angel watching over me because a man picked me up and called the ambulance, and I got to the hospital. When I got to the hospital, the doctor said, "Are you crazy?" And I started to cuss him out. I said, "Are you crazy?" And he said, "No, you almost died. If they would have got you here a minute later, you would have died." My brain started to swell, and my fever was at 103. At 105, you're dead. I was at 103, and my brain was swelling because of all the drugs that I consumed to try to cope with my life. So after getting out of the hospital, suicide attempts came back, and they came back, and they came back because I said, I can't, and mind you, still in the church. I never left church ever. And I said, Lord, I know I'm wrong, but I cannot stop. And the only way for me to stop is if I die. So I tried to commit suicide yet again, knowing that suicide is your first class ticket to hell. But I'd rather go to hell than to live the life that I was living. That was my mindset. I thought that I'd rather go to hell than to live that life. So I tried to kill myself again. And obviously that didn't work because I'm still here. But I continued on in the porn industry, and the things that I saw, it's a 75% chance that you're gonna catch an STD in the porn industry. There's a 75% chance that you're gonna catch an STD. The common STDs are chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, HPV, or even HIV. 75%. And most people would say, well, if you get tested every 28 days, how can you catch a disease? You can, just because you negative on Monday does not mean you still gonna be negative on Tuesday if you sleep with the wrong person. And that's exactly what was happening. A lot of people would get tested on Monday and be negative and then go sleep with a random person on Tuesday and come to shoot a porn film on Wednesday. And even though their results from Monday said that they were negative, on Tuesday they just caught something, and now they're about to work with you and you and you and you and you and you, and that's how you spread things. 75% chance that you're gonna catch STDs. And that's where my hypocrisy will kick in, because I used to go on set and I used to pray and say, Lord, please don't let me catch an STD. I used to prostitute myself, and before walking into his house or walking into a hotel, I would say, Lord, protect me. Don't let anything bad happen. Don't let me catch anything. And I had my nerve, but I'm glad that I did it, because obviously he was listening to me even in my wickedness, because I never caught anything in that industry. Condoms broke. I slept with people who were known for giving STDs, and I never got touched. Not even once. Somebody should shout because of that. God will cover you even in your wickedness, even in your sin. He'll shield you and protect you. Even in your sin, ain't no way I should be here after all the men I slept with and all the times the condoms broke and every time I laid with somebody in the porn industry because there's no condoms being used in the industry. Every time I did that and I walked away with nothing. Okay. So now, 18, I'm 19, and before I get to 19, I'm 18 years old, and now I have even more money than I had before, and I'm living this Hollywood dream, and I'm sleeping with celebrities and people we admire and we hear on the radio and we watch on TV, and these are my boyfriends and these are my clients, and I'm getting to fly with rappers and I'm getting to hang out and go to resorts and Hawaii's with people, and I'm living this lifestyle, but I'm dying on the inside because what profits a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So I had everything material-wise. I had everything. I had the houses, the cars, the men, the jewelry, the bags, everything, the fashion, the brand name. I had everything, but I was dying on the inside, but I allowed it to go on and on and on. People in porn, a lot of people, for some reason, idolize porn stars. They idolize it. And we would go to the porn conventions and to the porn award shows, and people would come up to me and ask for autographs, and they would come up to me and actually praise me for something that I was doing. And the celebrity kicked in. I felt like I was no longer a prostitute or a whore. Now I'm a celebrity because they make you feel like I'm signing autographs and I'm taking pictures with people, and people are shouting and hollering because they see the porn star that they masturbate to every night. And so now they look at it as you're a celebrity. I love you. I like you. They would send gifts, and they some women cry because they're like, I love you. I love you. Okay. So now I'm not a whore anymore. I'm not a prostitute anymore. I'm a celebrity. And that's the thing. That's the false evidence that the pornography gives to the porn stars, because they don't make you feel like you're a prostitute. They make you feel like you're a celebrity. You're in the magazines. You're on TV. You're on the internet. People want your autograph. So it's not a bad thing. You're a celebrity. You're wanted. You're liked by the society. This is what they made us feel like. As a result of my fans, I started to get stalked. I started to be followed. I don't understand how I'm in St. Thomas, the Virgin Islands, and people who from New York is coming from New York to the Virgin Islands to see me. People who are following me, I'm in Florida and Miami, and people from Los Angeles fly from LA to Miami to see me. That became scary to me. People popping up at your house and at your hotel rooms. People you don't even know who are coming to rape you, kill you, stalk you, have sex with you. You don't know what they're going to do. So many times I can be somewhere, go to Las Vegas, and somebody from Atlanta will come and knock on my door and try to rape me. Thank God that I'm loud and I screamed enough, and he didn't get a chance to rape me, but that's what they try to do. That's the things that I experienced in the porn industry. I experienced being so scared, thinking that I was walking around with HIV. I used to be scared to go in to get tested because I just knew that I had something, and every time the doctor said you were negative, I cried because I couldn't understand. How am I negative? How I don't have a disease? All these men I'm sleeping with, and yet I'm still negative. There's a reason for that. There's a reason for that, but I continued and I continued and I continued. Now a year and 8 months in the industry, and I'm 19 years old. Now, mind you, when I was 18, I was still a high school student or a secondary student. My birthday is in February. You don't graduate till June. I started doing porn in March. So technically, I was still a student in school, being a porn star. I dropped out of school. That's another thing I forgot to tell you. I dropped out of school at 15 years old because now I was prostituting, and I felt like When you go to school, it's because you try to learn, and you learn to get and you get education so that you could be qualified to do certain skills on jobs. But I said, why work when my mother, who works at the post office, a government job, but she makes maybe $70,000 a year, but I made that in 3 months. So it's no need for me to go to school anymore because I have the money that the school would have brought me. So I dropped out at 15 years old, now uneducated. I'm now 19, still a porn star, a prostitute, a stripper, a drug dealer. I was selling drugs and doing them. And I traveled. And I ended up in New York. This man just emailed me or called me and said that he wanted to pay for me to come to New York for a few days, and we was gonna do and hang out with him and go on business meetings with him and all that type of stuff. He just wanted my company, and I had did this before. A lot of men used to fly me out to be with them, so I didn't think that anything was wrong with that, and I agreed to go to New York to be with this man. He bought the ticket. And when I woke up that morning, I was almost late. I almost missed the flight. So I ran in my car and I got to the airport and I didn't check anything. I just gave the lady my name. She printed out my ticket and I jumped on the plane, not looking at the ticket or anything. But once I arrived to New York, I'm looking at my ticket and there's no return ticket. It was only a one-way. So I didn't pay attention to it. I just figured, okay, maybe he made a mistake. So I got there, and at first, a few days went by, and everything was good, and he was good to me, and he gave me money, and he took me out, and he took me shopping, and he did everything. Everything was going normal until we went out to a club in Manhattan, and he saw me talking to another man, and that's what prostitutes do. They're not faithful. They don't talk.